Saturday, everyone, and welcome to the Paladins Pro Circuit Community Broadcast. I'm Fawn, and I'm joined here by Kresnik, and we'll be going over the European and Brazilian brackets today for two sets. It won't be too long of a day, I would assume, considering the fact there's really only two sets. It won't be the four bangers that we saw yesterday, but I'm
God,
still
yeah.
betting there'll be some awesome games.
Oh, for sure. I mean, with how close and contested all these regions have mostly been, we are going to see
Mostly,
a bottom to middle matchup in Brazil later, but it's a team in Tempest versus in Control that we're going to see later. That Tempest, again, similar to Fatal, they keep fighting. You know, they keep having
Right.
like decent maps constantly against these teams, but just don't get there. Just like Fatal, but Interstellar Clown, I mean, Clown, people are still calling them the best team. They did just make a roster change. Prosper has left to join Yoinkers. We saw Yoinkers a little bit earlier this week. But now we're going to get to see the new Clown roster with Ninu. So Ninu coming in.
Right.
I don't even know if you actually knew that. I don't remember if I told you, but Ninu now
We
playing...
did. We talked about it before.
That's right, we did. As soon the day they played the games, we talked about it. But
Right.
Ninu is playing for ClownFiesta, so a face that I'm sure some people are pretty happy to see back in this game in general. So, but they're going to play against Interstellar, the team that I believe was I want to say they were second out of the relegation bracket. They've done, I think, okay. I want to say they were, I think, 1-2 heading into this, with ClownFiesta being 2-1 after their Prosper Sleepy Boy forfeit.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully this go around. I mean, having veterans such as Ninu. I mean, we've seen him in the PPO last year. One of the more recent, I guess you could say, recent additions towards the tail end of last year to Not As Sincere. Now, of course, he's on this team, so I can only expect the best from him. I mean, when he was playing on Not As Sincere, when he was playing on Navi, it was sick to watch him play every single time. So I can only assume the best from him, especially since he has so much experience with a lot of different veteran players.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a lot of experience coming into this. And while we have a moment, I can read you through the map bans that we have this set. So Interstellar, they had first pick, won the coin flip. They chose to get rid of Warder's Gate and Bazaar, both from them. And then on the other side, Shattered Desert and Ice Mines were taken out by Clown Fiesta. So all the unique maps in the rotation kind of just taken out. And of course, Interstellar with those four kind of out there maps gone. Let's go to the old golden standard in Jaguar Falls. So a flat map, I think, coming in here, something that you can play kind of anything on. Interstellar do have a controller DPS, so definitely expect to see some of those being played and picked here throughout their drafts today.
And even when we've seen some of these controller players in the European bracket end up showing up, regardless of what team they're on, and you mentioned it earlier before, these regions are highly contested. So I could imagine that these games won't only be close, but the drafts haven't really seemed to be affected that much. I mean, of course, you would get rid of Victor Vivian regardless of what we've seen in the PCL last year, where there would be target bans specifically for those characters. Everyone can play those characters now. There's been a lot of growth between these controller players and these PC players. So even though the region has been highly contested, everyone can still sort of play the same thing. It doesn't really seem like everyone's been shut down and locked out of their character pool for the most part.
For sure, they've been able to be flexible, and we'll see how flexible they can be here in the picks and bans. Interstellar, first pick on Jaguar Falls, their map choice. We'll see where they want to ban. EU has kind of been on an island when it comes to bans. Things have been a little bit different from their region versus other regions. And I actually just realized I have the wrong keyboard plugged in, but I'll get that. Hopefully, I see it distantly on my other desk. I'll just go through picks and bans with this one and swap it when I need to spectate. But Terminus banned early, I think, a kind of a standard for how EU's been looking. They like to target that and then pick up the Inara for themselves to kind of just deny flexibility on the point tank side of things.
Well, you get rid of one point tank, you get rid of one off tank. Atlas has found his way to the ban column on the side of Clown Fiesta. As Interstellar decide to make sure that their final ban is ROM. They don't want to deal with another annoying off tank. Just too much versatility. I mean, we've seen him be the aggressor. We've seen him down to the back line, draw a lot of eyes. We've seen him be the one that even DPSs in some situations. He may not be top damaging, but he gets the picks sometimes.
For
and
sure.
He is a very, very powerful tank that you don't want to deal with. So respect to them for being able to get rid of that. Genos gone, and Ash is the first pick on the side of Interstellar. They want that off-tank aggression for themselves.
Yeah, definitely with an off-tank ban. Well, two off-tanks, one more controlling, one more aggressive ban. Go for that. I mean, Ruck is still open, so wouldn't be surprised to see that being taken kind of early with how high priority he is in bans in EU with basically every team. I don't think we've seen a team really choose to ignore him. I think the value he brings is pretty high, and ClownFiesta seem to agree. They pick it up for themselves. It's going to be good on this map. Maybe a little less aerial assault value, but we're still going to see it. Having a third dash actually gives you a chance to get out once you've already gone in. So Ruckus will be able to potentially leave, but if the plan's working right, he won't be. He'll be falling, but bringing the entire enemy team with him.
Yeah, you have the Anar and Ash, so you have your point tank presence and you have your off tank that we know Ruckus so well to be is going to be pretty much living in their backline if they have any sort of backline DPS, and they do. That's Vivian. That is now Ruckus's job to try and stay on top of her as much as he can, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do that as easily, especially against that Vivian. They pick up the Androxus on the flank for Interstellar, so they have a very strong DPS lineup so far, while ClownFiesta respond with the survivability with the side of Maldamba, and Zen is their flank on the side of ClownFiesta.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's possible that Tyra could have been a solid pick if you wanted to just live. If you needed a backline hit scan that can live through the dive, Tyra kind of does that potentially a little bit better, unless this Vivian decides to roll out with that suspect everyone build. Sometimes that is something you can run to kind of counter dives. Aggression on top of you could be a thing we see coming out, but probably not here. Barrack will be their point tank of choice paired with the Corvus. So Corvus, we're just happy to see him. Honestly, it's EU. Yeah. We're out of the Twilight Zone. Corvus is being picked. His healing is phenomenal. Me and Gore actually looked at win rates and everything before we went live today, and Corvus actually has a slightly 49% win rate, but when he's being picked in almost every single game, it's going to be hovering around a even level.
So Corvus is the last pick on the side of Interstellar. It's ClownFiesta deciding their last pick for themselves, and it's going to be Willow. That's going to make it a little bit more uncomfortable for the Barrack. Means that Corvus doesn't really have that healing, as strong of the healing potential that we know him for because of that dead zone. So everyone has to keep that in mind, of course, when they're going into this game. Is there any particular draft you favor over one or the other, Kresnik? Is it Interstellars or ClownFiestas?
I find it so hard to side with a Barrack most of the time, but it is against no hit scans. This is where Barrack should thrive. If you run that turret reset build, if that Willow tries to shoot you, she's giving you cooldowns back. That's more shields. Barrack can actually out-sustain a Nora in a situation like this. He just has to manage to get that Ruckus off of him, because the damage from the hit scan is going to hurt quite a bit. It's just about the sustain being hurt. I think if this Andro and this Ashe can really win this side fight, if the early picks from Interstellar can get value, they can force ClownFiesta out. If there's not a backline to dive, if you keep that Vivian and Corvus protected with over-aggression from the other side, ClownFiesta might not even be able to get in.
We can only see if that's what's going to be the case as we head into Jaguar Falls for this game. I'll be interested to see that Corvus a lot. There you go. Okay, so good. You got the keyboard. That's awesome. So we got the spectator working, no problem whatsoever. Kresnik with his very special key bindings on that keyboard.
Not even that. I don't have a numpad font. You have to use a numpad to spectate the Paladins on my main keyboard. My main keyboard, I don't have a numpad. So I literally... Is that a
little baby one, like the really tiny one it was that you had that you showed me before?
It is not a baby keyboard, thank you very much. But yes, it is my small keyboard that doesn't have a numpad, which makes it impossible to spectate normally. So luckily I have this random, very low quality membrane keyboard that I get the pleasure of using every week. So hopefully it'll help us catch all the action here. Early start on the right from Interstellar with Ashe and Vivian and Andrew all stacking here. And actually, look at this already. The aggression kind of forcing Crunchy back, but I don't know if they know that Alex is there.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they do. He's pre-firing around the corner in case somebody was mounted up and ready to move in as soon as they focus their attention onto Ruckus, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Corvus heals up the Barrack, and the Inara forces him back a little bit. The dead zone being dropped on point meant that he couldn't stand there, so Barrack concedes that happily. 27% is already on the point for ClownFiesta. Crunchy's going aside. Barrack's being brought extremely low, but no one can get in. Even though Interstellar are grouping up consistently, they haven't really found any way to sort of break in there. Everybody's been eating a lot of damage, but that's going to be the first blood. Alex is going to find that pick. They move into the back line. They take care of one after the next. Ninu with a triple, and that might be a quadra, but it's not going to be as Crunchy gets that last hit. But my goodness, when they got that kill, they fired on all cylinders.
See, listen, Fawn. I may not be a professional. I don't think I would 5-stack into a tiny room against Willow, Zin, and Ruckus.
Yeah.
But, whatever makes you, feel comfortable and safe on this mid. Ninu doing so much damage. on this, already having Faith Light, but just using it to try to potentially zone them out as they get forced out. Ninu, the newest player to this roster, replacing Prosper after he joined Yoinkers. Oh, and getting aggressive. Look at that seedling damage right now. Snake's so low, and he's bashing in. That's not how he's going to survive this fight. He falls.
He doesn't. You're 100% right on that one. Dead Zone gets dropped. Reversal goes up just so Andro can back off and peel himself away. They fire on Ninu, take him out of the sky. Corvus is gone next. There, he's getting dealt with in the back line. I mean, Barrick had to fight that Zen one-on-one, but look at the space it is that ClownFiesta have gained for themselves. While they were focusing on that Zen, everyone else was fighting all over the place. Ruckus and Crunchy already made it onto the side here. He already has plenty of attention. Oh man, they're going to use the Hexifier to make sure that he can't escape. But man, just a shoulder bash. That Earthly Guard went up so Anar could try and body block, but she wasn't in a good enough spot to make that work. So, of course, he cancels the Hexifier, decides to move right on in. Is the Vivian on the side as she tries to take care of Zen, but that's not going to be enough. Barrett couldn't stand on point. He was too low.
Sorry, wrong POV, I guess. I thought maybe he was going to be able to fight or get dove, but they just walk that card in. I actually loved the use of that Hexifier there by Kid Crunchy. Just the ability to completely deny the assert dominance. If they had done that, would have maybe been able to get both tanks stunned, have some follow-up, but just by having that Hexifier there, denies follow-up and denies the stun. Ruckus is still going to be a viable target to find some more kills. So, good decision there by them. And Interstellar, rough start. This Vivian really looks like she's under a lot of pressure. I didn't even get a chance to look at the damage charts. Let me pull that up here. Ninu doing a ton. Barcode also kind of following up, but just, I think hard for him to keep up with all that damage coming in with Crunchy actually only 1,000 below him.
Yeah, that's it's interesting to be able to see that, but I mean, Ruckus being able to dive onto those priority targets means that he's going to be able to put out a lot of damage. The Ruckus burst surprises a lot of people, but let me hold that thought real quick. The Dome Shield goes down immediately. Anara tries to force Flash Shoot back, and she does, but it forced out the ultimate from him just to keep himself alive, not even trying to start anything. Here it comes. This might be the assert dominance they were looking for. Everybody seems to be grouped up once again. The Seismic Crash gets utilized. Seismic Crash goes out and it stops the assert dominance for a very brief moment, but the tides are still turning for Interstellar, as even though they were all in that choke point, it's not going to end how it did last time around. Ninu is going to have to back up along with whoever might be remaining on the side of ClownFiesta. All the health pools are low. Vivian finds herself a nice double. This might end up being the triple as well. It's not, but they do find 3 kills, so at least 3 members are down on the side of ClownFiesta. With comeback mechanic, they should be able to cap the point. Crunchy was able to touch for a little bit, but Anar is still here. Wall goes up, but she's going to get dealt with almost instantly. 97% to a potential point conversion. No one else on ClownFiesta seemed like they're going to be able to touch.
Yeah, the timing on the deaths were, I think, the worst part of this, because the tanks were there in position to touch, but Ninu and Alex died so late they weren't there to fight this at all. Who's Barcode? Look at this, actually. A great stun onto Volca. No one's stopping Stays, but I guess how do you at this point? Volca might fall, but Peel from Crunchy, and Stays left his Assert Dominance zone, so he's taking all this damage. Might get it. No, just enough damage in time.
Yeah, that's great on Volca to be able to slither towards his team and make sure that he's in the proper position, so that way not only can he heal, but he stays alive because of that. I mean, Crunchy came around, knew that he was about to die. He slithers his way right on into Crunchy, and you can't really burn him as effectively on that Ash. You already used the Assert Dominance to force the engage, so played by ClownFiesta. Dead Zone goes out, Hexfire in the back line, trying to see if they can block the Ash, but he eats a little bit too much damage in the process. Vivian free-firing into his back. Ruckus realizes not being too bad of a spot. Alex is there. He has to back up, tries to use the whirlwind to escape, but it's not going to be enough. Ninu is there as well, and he looks at Corvus. Corvus gets taken out. Everyone's playing around the barricade. I don't know how much longer they'll be able to last. Not very much longer, seems like, but great body blocks anyway by Snays. Even though Androx is going to go down, it kept them alive just a little bit longer so some of their team could respawn.
I gotta say, I actually want to call out Enviel for a great play there. As soon as he was about to get hit by a spite from the Zen, he literally just reaction ulted with the Accursed Arm. It canceled it just to survive through that by becoming CC immune, so great heads-up play by him. But look at this aggression right now from ClownFiesta. They are in the enemy spawn, while on the defense here, Doss just holding on to this Entropic Breach. The DR keeps him alive through K Crunchy's damage.
Man, oh man, that DR meant a lot in that scenario, especially since Crunchy was so far in the back line, didn't even use it. He just let the entire timer go through until, of course, he plopped that Entropic Breach right on down. they were able to at least get a kill from that. They forced them all the way to their spawn, ClownFiesta being the aggressors. Interstellar have to make their way back to cart. Nar might be in a bad spot here. You see how they're flanking around, at least to the back. They have to retreat, but they might be a little bit too far up. They do take care of Corvus, though, on the push. And now Flashu might be in an even worse off spot. They have to back up. They can't fight as effectively as they would have been if Corvus was still alive, but that's not the case. They still have to back up, and a good pick from Crunchy is going to allow ClownFiesta to keep this hold.
Look at this. Xentra actually saves them some time. I don't think anyone can really make it to the card, even with it still sitting right where it started in ClownFiesta. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen an aggressive zone work so well. I mean, we see it on Bright Marsh sometimes. You know, you run in and you just keep them at their spawn. I've never seen them literally at the door doing damage for that long. ClownFiesta just negating any chance that they ever had of keeping that card moving here. Well, let's see if there's anything interesting build-wise we can take a look at. I'll even pull out the F7, the rare one that we never really get to see up at the top to take a look at anything. If there's a unique build talent being played. Alex would have been the one I look at normally for that. He's been kind of running some interesting stuff on Xin with Malice, but kind of just running a counter reset build instead, which I think is smart into a character like Vivian that's constantly shooting Corvus, who checks like that, and specifically the Barrack. If you can counter the turret and then hit someone with that, you're going to get that reset, basically a 1-second cooldown on counter that'll keep Alex in the fight even longer.
They're already engaged on the side by Statue. Once again, a Cursed Arm is there. Look how fast Beal is moving in here. Cursed Arm, as soon as he's about to peek around the corner, but he spites his way in, not even trying to look the hit. He's just trying to avoid the line of sight, force him to actually cancel it. And they take care of Snaze. They have escaped death for a very brief moment. Can't say the same for Ninu, as now the rest of the kills are coming up on the side of ClownFiesta. 45% as Crunchy is forcing out that Vivian. Very last second, we have Snaze already mounted up. Try to see if he can get through. He might actually be able to sneak right on past him. No, he actually ends up getting dismounted. They are going to end up walling it. There's no time really to be able to try and move in. Ninu's going to body block that. He's not going to be able to make it in. Field is actually there and use the reversal. They managed to get the kill onto Ninu. Now they've made their way onto point. It's a matter of if they can hold on to it. Seismic Crash doesn't seem like they're going to be able to hold on to it for much longer based off of that ultimate, as Snaze has to back out. He's going to charge his way in, see if he can take down Alex, but he can't. The Corvus is going to, not the Corvus, the Maldamba is going to keep him alive. ClownFiesta with the 1-0.
I was a little concerned there. I mean, I saw Snaze see it and then back up, and I'm like, all right, well, if you don't go that early, they're just gonna wall you off. But the wall goes behind him to try to stop somebody else from touching, even with Inviel coming around from Jack's side to touch through. Maybe that wall goes up in main. They don't have the Ashe ult go in. They don't lose Ninu. Things are a little closer. But, I mean, either way, ClownFiesta still end up closing it out. They had some great presence on the side. And the very late death of Barcode, who was the key member, I think, in their fight there. His super late death for that retouch really, really messed them up. They needed that Vivian damage there if they wanted to actually follow up on the rest of the team once that Assert Dominance got the first pick.
I mean, even still, they were able to trade things out. I mean, he had the reversal up. Androxus already moved in. He managed to get the kill on the Ninu. The CC was provided by the Assert Dominance. But you are 100% right. Vivian went down so much later, especially when it was coming down to the wire. She had already used the Assert Dominance. She was on point. Vivian had to make her way back to try and see if she could support Ashe. Didn't turn out to be that way because of the late pick. But I think we can give credit to Crunchy where credit is due, because he got a lot of picks and very, very consistently as well. 49,000 damage available for ClownFiesta, or at least specifically, I should say, for the Ruckus, as Ninu, of course, is bringing up a lot of the numbers. Interstellar grouped up quite a bit, and Ninu punished him for it.
Just to clarify, you guys do know the reason why Androxus has a completely different name than it does on broadcast. Not completely different, but different enough. These games are played a little ahead of time, and we get to see them on the community broadcast. So he has since changed his name from Enveal to I'm not even going to try that, just so I don't embarrass myself here, but he's changed his name. That's what he's going to be looking like on these post-game stats for the rest of the day, as long as Interstellar are playing. KD's here. I think Ninu did a great job, even running into a counter, even running with into the Androxus, someone you'd normally think does a great job playing into him. Still able to live. That DR on Flutter, I think, helps significantly, and just having a team that's putting on so much pressure on the outside means Andro can't necessarily run down Willow as much as he'd like to.
Right, exactly. And props to Alex as well we didn't really highlight him a lot. There were times where he was able to, of course, carry a few of the fights, get the picks it is that he wanted to. Crunchy was doing most, I feel like, in this specific scenario, most of the heavy lifting because of how hard he was drawing eyes towards him. But I mean, there were a lot of times where Alex pretty much ended up outplaying the Andro. There were times where he outmaneuvered him when the accursed arm was utilized super early, or I shouldn't even say super early. Really later on, he was trying to see if anybody was around that corner. He was going to use the accursed arm to peek, but Zen spied it right out of there. He wasn't even aiming at hitting anyone. Alex just needed to reposition, and it worked out for them. They avoided death in that situation, and they only lost one member. Ninu was the only one that went down during that point fight when the score was already 2-0. So, I mean, it just ended up working out for them. Everybody played the best that they could, and they played very well on the side of ClownFiesta. But what can you expect with those names on the team, honestly?
Yeah, true, of course. I mean, I thought Interstellar put up a decent fight. To some of the fights definitely went in favor of Clown. They did manage to win that mid. They did have comeback, but ClownFiesta clearly immediately flipped that on its head. And since Clown won the map pick of Interstellar, they get to go to their map of choice. They lost the coin flip, so they get to choose map 2, and that for them is going to be Bright Marsh as we head into the picks and bans for this. ClownFiesta currently up 1-0, and you love losing and then you love winning and then immediately go to the map of your choice. It really is win more the cherry on the sundae. That is a quick win in map 1.
Yeah, I mean, you move from Jaguar Falls to Bright Marsh, you've got those closed spaces as well. So that's something that they're going to have to look out for on the side of Interstellar. Atlas and the band caught him almost instantly, followed by the Ruckus soon after. Crunchy was a bit of a menace on that one, so they don't want to deal with that sort of backline dive that they had before. They might try and draft something a little bit more backliney, maybe another Vivian, try and see if they can get that going again. Now they don't really have to worry about the dive, but I say that and Rom's open. So they get rid of Atlas, Ash on the side of ClownFiesta, Ruckus, Genos on the side of Interstellar. It's up to the first pick here, and it's going to be Androxus.
Yeah, Andro, I mean, we know how good he is on this map. Verticality, a little bit more important, I would say, on Bright than Jag, just because being able to climb up to tree, being able to go over some of the rooftops, it definitely helps a lot of angles you can engage from with Andro that you can't with some other characters. So, Clown, get that in the pocket in Interstellar. With a lot of options open, I mean, let's see, double checking that. Corvus is still open if they wanted to go for that in this slot, if they wanted to focus on a pocket healer, but Inara instead also makes sense. Exentra performed great on it last game, and having a stalwart presence on the point on a map where a wall can completely isolate a choke that heads into that objective, I think it's a smart pick.
I agree with that. I mean, Inara is going to be that go-to most, if not all of the time. So you couple that with a ROM as well. So you've got a lot of survivability on the side of Interstellar, while ClownFiesta decided to take the sustainability through the Maldamba and the Vivian. So a hit scan presence is going to either be forced on something like a Victor, I would suppose, if it's still open, which it is, and nobody's banned it. But Interstellar are going to lock themselves in the Corvus, so that's a lot of healing. They can stay alive for quite some time, and even an Eevee, a dive into the back line on the side of Interstellar. Multiple dives, actually. Both Eevee and Rom probably going to wreak havoc in the back line.
Going to put a lot of pressure on that Vivian, I think, and I think the Eevee is a specific aim towards that Viv. Just Eevee does well into her, unless they're running like a suspect everyone's scapegoat kind of build. Eevee can do quite a bit on that aggressive dive. See, the tank for ClownFiesta will actually be Khan. So solo tank Khan, something as of right now, solo tank Khan, not sure what the final pick will be for them. It can be good. They could go for a main tank instead. Nando is still available, does decently into what they have so far at ultimate to counteract the ROM ultimate, the Inara ultimate, if that's what they want. But Willow again, I think that also makes sense. Dead Zone on ROM actually super valuable if you can deny all that healing from the soul fragments.
Yeah, triple DPS, and you sort of have two counters for Rom. I mean, you have the snake bite whenever Maldamba actually reloads and tosses it. He can stop the Rom run if he aims well enough, but they're going to rely more on Khan than anything else, I feel, to try and stop that Rom from wreaking havoc in the back line. So it's going to be hard for him to try and sit there and not really do much of anything, but I'm personally a big fan of Interstellar's composition this time around. I mean, they have a lot of healthier targets, and having Khan as your only tank means that he's going to have to worry about Rom, and if he's not, then your backline gets dove for free. Yeah,
they're going to have to turn and burn this Rom at some point, surely, unless they play him a little more defensive. I thought Snace played well in the Ash last game. Clearly, decisions that he made were pretty smart, so having him on the Rom, I think, could not be a detriment to Interstellar. Let's say we can head into the game now. Take a look at some of the talents that are being picked up here. Nothing really too surprising. I'll hover over them just because you never know who's watching for the first time. Maybe wants to know exactly what's being picked up. A booby trap as the standard. I think storm bullets is definitely exactly what you expect on Khan these days. A little bit of DPS increase, charge ult faster, especially against an Inara and a Khan. Having that overpower up as often as possible is definitely a strong factor in keeping Khan on your roster.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be pretty huge, especially when it comes to either dealing with that ROM or dealing with any of those priority targets as well. I mean, you don't always have to necessarily stop the ROM. If you stop them quick enough, you can always use the overpower to try and make sure they don't have the point presence with the Inara. So it's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty ridiculous how they're going to have to use this. ClownFiesta are going to have to try and play a little bit more back or group up like they are right now. And it seems like they're already zooming through apartments. That Speed Spirit's playing a huge role as they're moving into the back. Ninu already with the kill, and he's swinging up through the side. He actually has no idea. Alex rotates all the way around and manages to go through beach side and gets rid of Corvus.
That's a quick one, huh? Snae's buying as much time as he can on point, as he should be, but Alex and Ninu together put in so much damage, there's no way he can survive. I saw someone mention, said in chat, Clown pick Vivian, Excentra connects the controller. You have to declare how many players on your team are on controller before the draft happens. So the only way he would be on controller is if they knew they were drafting something like this beforehand. So I mean, maybe I'll watch them, we'll get a judgment as we go forward. But Alex and Shuri dominating Flasho, and they keep their hold on this point.
Yeah, already. Nice good kill onto the EV while the rest of the team on ClownFiesta's died and Crunty goes down, but the point's already captured. There's nothing to stall unless you want to try and get his zone here, but he's getting zoned out pretty badly. Rom has to move in and is going to. He's going to take that opportunity as the Faith Flighting Willow decides to move right on in, seeing what damage she can find on those targets. She manages to find a good amount of damage onto the Inara, wants to decide to back off at least for the most part, as they're still holding on to that little apartment area right there. It's going to be hard for Interstellar to move up at all, and the damage they're taking is indicative of that.
Someone called this out in chat, and I have to make a note of it. Khan, he's not running any ammo cards in his build, but he is building Deft Hands first before Cauterize. Now Khan getting bought, but I guess that's a way to make up for the low ammo clip. Look at that flash right in front of Excentra. How do you escape Vivian damage when you're getting the wormhole pressured so hard?
Yeah, staring out the window, and ours being looked at from both sides, and he's going to find that last hit, and Veals goes down, and Rom is stuck up there. Going to try and find an opportunity to go in, if they can even touch. He throws the Gatling gun away and runs right on in, but Dread Serpent almost instantly to make sure that that run is stopped in its tracks. That's a 2-0 for ClownFiesta on Bright Marsh already.
That was a quick one for sure so far.
Oh, yeah.
Clown looking completely in control. This Con on point, bullying. Kind of hard. They give up early time, though. They just give up the early cap to Enviel, run everybody into the back line, and clearly Barcode and Dawes just were not ready for that push. Clown, look at Alex, actually. Let me take a look at his build here, because I am definitely curious. He is currently 6-0, is it? I can go back and double check, because my brain is very small. 6-0 on Alex with this Androxus. Like the punch card for the ammo. It's not something you see all the time, but if you play around it, you can actually get quite a bit of effectiveness out of it. Getting some extra ammo in the middle of a kind of desperate fight. Plus the standard. Some people have been going towards the Watchful on Andro, but he's staying with the Power of the Abyss just for that little bit of extra consistency.
Right, let's see what Flash you, how he decides to adapt this time around. They sent a couple people by Beach, but Envil actually pushes in. That's interesting considering nobody else on the team of Interstellar actually goes, oh, okay, all right, that makes plenty of sense. I actually don't hear the game sound like a very brief amount of time. So
oh, no.
yeah, so that's why I didn't. That's why I was like, did she just walk in? But it's no worries. It like at the same time though, we already see that Flash Shoes moving in. Managed to get the hit. Faith Fighting Willow is there, blinks up and blinks back out. Wormhole is present, and Rom runs right on through. There's fights breaking out all over the place, but already a 1-for-1 trade, and Veal's one of the only ones that's still there. That's already 2-for-1 on the side of ClownFiesta. They have the advantage here, 81% available as Rom runs right on through, gets bitten as well. He gets stunned for a little bit of time, and that's his DR gone. Jumps on top of the seedlings, if anything, or really gets forced on top of those seedlings, and he's going to get blown up to pieces. Alex with a nice, oh my goodness, nice shots to make sure Flash you can't live very much longer. That's another point capture in a 3-0.
I mean, that was just a Fed reversal, getting right into that EV. And no way for Flash to live at that point with all the cooldowns down. Ninu is just tearing through them right now. Look at this. pressure. Alex, Crunchy, and Ninu all running in. Ninu gets 3, and Alex steals his quad. The man's unstoppable. Willow, I've mentioned, I think, in the past, Willow kind of underrated in a meta where people are picking double support, they're picking these sustainy characters, and no one's really picking up Willow for this dead zone, but I guess not, you don't need it just for the dead zone, just use that AoE damage. You saw Ninu just straight body blocking this ROM on top of 4 seedlings. That's one way to burn through that big of a health bar.
Already it seems like Interstellar want to try and come back for round 2 as Flashy moves in. Well, really just sort of manipulates his way around everything. A short pause real quick, but you know, this is that definitely think that's when you would see like the to be continued meme. If anything, you see Rom running into everybody and it looks like he got grabbed almost instantly as soon as he moves in there. So we'll have to see how that unfolds as soon as it unpauses. But at the same time, this Rom hasn't really been able to find any sort of value, and I think that's due to the pressure that they're putting on a lot of these different DPSs. I mean, they're in the back line consistently. And Khan's the one that's pretty much not even really playing back. They're just being more aggressive than that ROM is. They're forcing a lot of these fights onto these targets, and that's working out well for ClownFiesta.
Yeah, I mean, ROM without proper follow-up really just gets shredded, and you guys didn't get to see it because he died so dang fast, but Snaze just fell apart there near the end. We are back in the game, and Enviel completely alone on an island.
Already used to the Earthen Guard, but so that DR is gone. You already see even Boca wants a piece of the action. He's moving up, not only healing, but making sure he finds those shots. ClownFiesta, you blink, you'll miss it. And that's going to be it. ClownFiesta with a 2-0 against Interstellar already.
Yeah, I mean, did you know, Fawn, that ClownFiesta was still good?
Yeah, I mean, hey, man.
I mean, they were never.
Well, me, I guess.
They've never not been. The only loss they have was Prosper oversleeping before leaving the team to go join the Winkers.
Right.
So, Clown, I mean, still looking like the strong force. Interstellar still have a chance to fight back in this. Only 2 maps out of 3 taken by Clown so far. So Interstellar, I mean, I don't know what they can change, though. Do they ban the Willow? Do they focus on the counter picks for the Willow? Having the counter pick didn't help last time. Maybe just stop playing them on these flat, close-range maps.
Well, I'm not too sure, honestly. I mean, I guess in terms of counter picking or situations that you don't want to be in, that's one of them. You want to have that ROM to make sure that you can have that aggression, right? But they never caught a break. It was almost like every time they tried to move in, ROM was either by himself. It felt disconnected, is what I should say. There were times where Enviable was on the point, he was capping with Inara, and he was the one that was always getting picked off first, if anything. And that's what's absolutely crazy about that. Wait,
I'm sorry, Fod. Did you just call him Enviable?
Yes.
It is 2 E's. It is,
yeah, I know.
I love that.
I'm aware.
It's Enviable. Enviable is a great name for him. I actually have the stats up here, and damage not really there for Interstellar. I mean, Clown just all over them damage-wise. No Genos needed for that boost. 52k for Ninu. Out-damaging this Vivian. I gotta say, there has to be either a Willow ban or a hard counter pick coming next as we'll look at the KDA. 0 and 8 on the Eevee. So tough to play into the comp that ClownFiesta brought with Alex going 10-0 and Ninu following up with a 7-0.
Yeah, that's a good look for ClownFiesta. I mean, I don't think it gets much better than that. Having really 3 people on your team all undying. The most deaths you have on your team are 2 deaths. I mean, that's a great look for ClownFiesta. I just think they had that better aggression. I mean, I felt like they were going to try and play back. I felt like Khan was going to try and wait for the ROM dive, but that's affording too much space to him, right? So they were like, why don't we just be twice as aggressive as we know they're going to be? So they would force a lot of these fights. When they forced the fights, they would always come out on top because they focused those targets in the back line. Sure, Flashy was trying to go in. Same thing for Snaze. But when you have to worry about Barcode and Dawes in the back line, either healing and doing DPS, you take care of those 2 like we saw them do in the very beginning of Bright Marsh, and you don't have an opportunity to fight back because you're already missing 2 people.
Yeah, it's definitely tougher to have to cover all the bases. I think maybe just have your whole comp dedicated to doing something, right? Dedicated to actually getting aggressive and following up from there as I prep this out. We do have the next map chosen by Interstellar, and I actually don't know how much we've seen it so far. I think I can count it maybe on one hand, probably.
Ooh, wait,
for sure on one hand.
Can I guess?
You sound very excited. Sure.
Okay, is it Warder's Gate?
No.
Oh, man.
Do you want multiple guesses, or do you want me to just tell you?
Okay.
You're about to see me type it in, so I mean, it's definitely.
Oh. What? It's Fish Market for those who
It
don't.
is Fish Market, yes, and it is a map we really don't see much because most people ban it.
Right.
Because a lot of teams just don't like the playstyle that it makes you have to kind of handle it. It's wide, but if you go to the point, you just get shredded. I mean, you are just in the middle of everything, and
Right.
it's just hard to stay alive as a tank. Someone in the chat mentions, Serpent, please, we follow the current ranked rotation. So any map that is in ranked are the maps that the players are allowed to pick and ban from. So I believe, Serpent, Ascension, Frozen Timber, I think, are the maps that aren't in right now. I actually don't. That's also why you saw no Jag in Phase 1, because there was no Jag in Phase 1 until the very end.
And that's interesting. I mean, Timber Mill, I guess that's even on the lesser spectrum of things that we've seen as opposed to Fish Market. I mean, it's been, yeah. I mean, yeah, it is pretty funny. I agree. I mean, I haven't seen that map in forever. It's been a long time since Timber Mill has even been picked, and that's how I sort of feel about Fish Market. I know how people felt in the PPO last year. That was a Team Envy special that a lot of times that we would see that map being brought out, but a lot of the time people weren't excited to pick Fish Market. Interstellar, I guess, if it's a map it is they've practiced, if they feel comfortable on this map, then by all means pick it. See if you can try and fight back with some that might be some unfamiliarity, because I can't imagine a lot of teams are scrimming on Fish Market.
You mentioned being excited and being comfortable. I think those are two very different things, because my team used to be good at Fish Market, but God, did I want us to never pick it. It's like we'd open a set with Fish. I'm like, all right, well, hopefully we lose this so I can play a couple maps I like. When I was back on Sanguine, a map we used to like to go to here. Ruckus is an early ban. I think it makes sense. I think mobile DPS, mobile tank / damaging tank, DPS almost filling that role. Solid pick for that to start. And Genos, give damage boost on a map that you have almost no cover on, also makes sense. You don't want to be taking 50% more damage, especially when you're on second pick.
Well, getting rid of that dive, you get rid of one of the pocket picks. What's in store for this ban? We'll have to see if Interstellar decide to choose. They are going to end up going with the Atlas. Another Atlas ban once again. Haven't seen him at all throughout the set, but I wonder if it is even worth the ban. You mentioned it before. Do you shut down Needed? Do you get rid of the Willow? Why Atlas once again? Are you just worried about the potential that Crunchy might have?
Well, I think this is a map where you don't necessarily need to worry as much about Willow, because they could just get a sniper at this point with no snipers banned. And then that Willow, yes, Willow can play into her counters, but this is not a map where that's screaming Willow. I mean, it's Fish Market. It's very wide open. It's very flat, but not flat like Brighton Jag where there's those sharp changes in height. It's pretty much just flat all the way through, and you're fighting at a height disadvantage quite a bit of the time. So you definitely don't want, I think, to be pulling out the Willow on a map like this. But Interstellar want to pull out that ROM. Again, it's definitely a better map for it, I would say, than it was last time. ROM can cover a lot of ground. Probably going to see some high levels of subjugation in Snaze's build if he is going to be the one piloting it out here for that ROM. And Clown with an answer. I'm assuming you want to be looking for an answer, potentially, to this dash from the ROM.
Let's see if they answer it. Strix, it's not necessarily the answer you might be looking for, but Strix and Corvus, that's a great lineup so far. I mean, you've got good backline DPS, and Interstellar say, anything you can do, we can do better. So they're going to take the other sniper. They're going to make sure they have Canessa in their back pocket. With the con this time around, they might take some more aggressive approaches. They might just say, forget the point. They might just go for the fights purely.
Makes
when
sense.
You have both of these characters there, make sure that Canessa is as comfortable as she can be, but I say that she's going to be comfortable, but you see Zen and Maeve is the response on the other side with ClownFiesta. That's pretty scary if you're a sniper.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Canessa can do a decent job against Maeve, but not when that midnight is up, making it difficult to go into. I just want to pull back the curtain for a second. That the draft I was given, I double checked to make sure it was right, but the draft I was given for this has Interstellar picking Vivian here and Vivian. So I know who they actually picked. I mean, if you could pick two Vivians instead of a support, wouldn't you? But the actual pick for them was Maldamba and not a second Vivian. I promise you. And how often do you see this in Nara? Last pick for ClownFiesta.
Yeah.
Not that often, but it makes sense on a map like Fish Market. It's a map where Nara, she can live on the point. She's one of the only tanks that can really get away with living on the point. But she can also go on the side and wall you off and actually buy a decent amount of space that some other tanks maybe rely on a shield to, because you're not usually burning through a Nara wall most of the time.
It's interesting, like you said, to see her in last pick, because typically those people on the opposite team will notice that Nara hasn't been picked, and they'll go, okay, well, we might pick her up. Just put a damper a little bit on the on the point potential that you could have. I mean, Terminus was still open even so. So they could have gone with that still, but it's just too good not to have an Inara. But you have this Inara solo tanking, but she's backed up by a Corvus. You can't really get much better point positioning than that, especially when you have so many aggressive flanks, such as the Maeve and the Zen, to sort of put more pressure on that Kinessa. So this is interesting. This is a very interesting compositions from both drafts, because both of them seem to want to run in.
Yeah, agreed. I think the Zen Maeve are going to make a lot of room potentially for this Strix, but if they manage to hold both sides, if they just put Realm on one side with a backline DPS behind it, and then you put Khan on the other side with backline DPS behind it, I feel like they might not be able to even get in with those flankers as we head into the game. Here, taking a look at the talents to start. Looks like early repo from Enviol just to get away from Alex and Ninu trying to run him down.
Yeah, I mean, that Haven's going to keep him alive for at least a little bit, like at least a little bit longer. Same thing for Dawes, once again with the Nimble. Like you said, going to make sure that he doesn't get locked down by either Ninu or Alex. But in terms of talents, nothing too different, if anything. But is there any draft you like particularly better than the other?
I like the Realm and Khan. I like being able to hold the sides. I love having the overpower on Fish Market where you can always get that kill. And also, someone in chat just said it, they can't stop Realm. They have no CC unless they're stun Corvus, which they're not. So, kind of tough to make that happen. Early control of market side for Interstellar. But look at this. Xin point tank, the classic, coming out from them. And actually, wait, what is Flasho doing? He's in the middle of their entire team. He got completely surrounded.
And he gets picked off almost instantly. Now Snake's in an even worse spot. He already created so much space on the sides. They actually had to give that up, but Flashu going down so early means that they don't have that control anymore. 39% for ClownFiesta, as now Snaze and Barcode have to move up, see if they can try and retake anything.
Yeah, no, interesting positioning there in the start with their back line. Right now, Interstellar, maybe they have to go now. They're going to at least get overtime, maybe a second too early. Actually, they pressure Volca, force the projection to come out, but they get off the point. Maybe deny that. Both flankers in the back now finally getting caught out, but it looks like a one-for-one trade.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, already. They take care of Ninu, but Alex is still alive. Their backliner is already down. They have Kinessa still available, but here comes the Spite. Wow. Melts that Khan almost instantly. Thanks to the guillotine. Thank you. See you later. As now Kinessa's going to find an even better spot to see what she can do, but is Strix running down that Rom? Was that what was happening for a second? It seemed like he was moving up a little bit. I mean, he seemed like he was moving up a little bit, trying to see if he could catch him, at least slipping, if anything, but that's going to be the case. Rom has too much health for that to be the case, but they at least take out multiple people in the back. Vivian comes back, deals with her, and they already take care of more and more people on the side of Interstellar. ClownFiesta in the driver's seat since the beginning.
And this is why this map is pain, because look at this angle that Excentric's on right now. I'm actually going to free cam us all the way down to the site Excentric can see. As soon as you leave spawn, you are in that sightline from the Strix, so you can get dismounted so easily. You don't think about when you're coming out, which most of the time you're thinking about other strategies of what you want to do once you finally get out of spawn, and suddenly you're bursted for 1,200 damage. Interstellar trying to make some ground here. Both tanks kind of stacking on the same side, and not a backline with them. It looks like Enfield and Barcode both looking at the other side, and ClownFiesta are bouncing.
They're moving in, but they use the flashbang almost instantly. They felt like they wanted to try and force an engagement there. Seismic Crash gets used with the Battle Shout to try and counter that out. It's not going to be enough to force an engagement here, but they're stuck in that corner. They can't really go anywhere. Rom's in the back. They've pincered them. They've managed to do well with their positioning. And they actually take care of Excentra, but Inara's been rolling the card the entire time. They have to come back to try and stop it, and she's not going to be able to make it, obviously. But still, that's a great look for ClownFiesta to have the card that far.
I thought that wall was actually going to block them off, and we were just going to watch this card roll all the way in. That's why I went to that free cam, but small little hole for Barcode to slip through and make it work. Alex trying to back up here again as well. But Snay is trying to stop him, but he has guillotine. He catches him without soul armor too. Soul armor comes in time, but the damage is there. Enfield turns around and stops the execute from happening.
Yeah, that's a great that's a great defense on the side of Interstellar. So now we have the Vivian moving in as well, right behind her two teammates. Both tanks are there. She's gonna walk around that wall like she did before. And it seems like she's going to wait for a little bit longer. Snaze is really just causing as much chaos as possible. Flash Shoes in the corner once again. There are too many people that are there. He has to back off, and he doesn't. He gets picked off almost instantly. Barcode is available to shoot for a little bit longer, but he's not going to live for that much longer. So he's going to opt not to go for that fight. Maeve is, of course, flanking around with the Inara, I believe, or at least for a brief moment. Maeve's going to keep going, but a nice headshot. Minfield. It's going to be a good look for them. Midnight already being utilized. They know exactly who he wants to go for. That's exactly why that Knessa used that transporter. She knew exactly who the target was. She did not want to end up being dead meat, but two of her teammates are already down. Flash you, Snaze still on the point. Snaze is contesting, but not for much longer. Good shots from Strix. Envio comes all the way around and manages to get the hit, but the wall is enough to block off Flash you. He can't go anywhere, and Cruncy rolls it right in.
That was just a perfect wall there. He thought the grass would get him over, but just not enough to make it. Didn't get the high jump as perfectly as it needs to be there. So ClownFiesta roll that into a 2-0 after a kind of decent defense from Interstellar there, I think. They did a great job buying time, but once that cart gets over that hill, especially when your sniper manages to take position, it is so difficult to kind of knock them out of that hold at that point. I think having Enviel going in and catching Exentra was the best possible thing that could have happened, but then Cruncy just got a really good wall. Couldn't get past it, and they weren't able to hold on that defense. Looking at ults here, Overpower, definitely I think the star has to be for Interstellar if they want to get this in. Who can they find with it? Maybe Inara, but Cruncy's going to play smart with it, surely. Not let himself get caught out immediately. Oh, maybe he does? Nope, DR comes up right away. Gets kind of forced out, but now Cruncy can engage with the seismic crash.
Cruncy's getting looked at by so many different people. Spike gets utilized, but Envio once again gets the kill. Ninu tries to pounce on him, but that's not going to be enough. The Dread Serpent to fear off whoever was left. Earthen Guard goes down, and he finds that opportunity to overpower. Cruncy is gone out of the mix for at least a few more seconds as the rest of ClownFiesta have to back up. They got to give him that respect. 31% for Interstellar already, as now Snaze is taking this opportunity to move more into the back line. Flashu finds that kill. Shatter is what comes through. Exentra goes down soon after that. They found their target, and they picked him off. Now Exentra is dismounted, and Alex has to find a way to touch. He's going to be able to do that. Comeback mechanic is a factor. He's going to whirl his way right on out, but that's not going to be enough, as I think Interstellar, yeah, they are. They're going to be able to capture this point. ClownFiesta can't contest.
Interstellar clean, I think. They countered the ults, I think, pretty well that were coming out from ClownFiesta. They lose Barcode early to Cruncy, who's just walking right at them with Flasho following, so Cruncy's going to go fight the card. They don't know exactly where Enviel is, but Enviel splitting them in half, flanking Volko. Does he know he's fighting him right now? Enviel, no! To get peeled for Enviel. Maybe could have scoped up and actually gotten that little bit of extra healing, but not enough to win that duel. As they hold back here, Interstellar needing to get back to this objective. They want to keep moving, but Clown, they're ready to engage, starting with a Midnight.
Already seeing if they can force their way onto Vivian. Inu is not going to be able to do that. The Knessa Headhunter gets utilized, transports her way all over to the fight, and now Crunch is moving to the back line. He knows that Envio needs to be the problem, and Alex finds that opportunity to go off of his teammates. Engage. There it is. That's a triple kill. He's going to see if he can try and go to the next person. There's the guaranteed triple kill. My bad. I'm going to double kill, but it's still a triple kill either way. They're going to stagger Rom out here. He's not going to have enough health. Now everybody that's making their way back on the side of Interstellar can't make it back to Cart. They can't fight their way out of this one. They have to respect him a little bit more. They're just trying to see if they can plug any damage into targets to see if they can turn everything on its head.
These counter resets on this Zen have actually been kind of huge. I love Viciousness, and I like seeing it get some PPC play here. Look at this engagement actually by him. He just keeps getting these resets. He has counter up again already. It can happen so fast if you're just not ready for it to be coming out right now as the aggression continues from ClownFiesta. Keeping them in their spawn. Only tanks and support alive with just respawning Enviel now. But Snake's kind of alone in the back here as Enviel just frantically looking for someone to get a pick on.
He is there, and he's going to have to try and find his way to back out. He's trying to avoid the damage from Knessa. She manages to plug one good shot, but don't know about the rest. Corvus on backs all the way up. Knows that Snaze is all the way back here. Know that they were actually trying to go for Exentra as well. Gets blinded, so he has to back off of that engage for a little bit longer. They trade out 1 for 1. Cruncy is down. Now they're moving directly on the Barcode. Ninu already found one. He finds his second. Will he find the third? As Snaze has to use that DR to get out. They manage to catch Dawes slipping. As Exentra finds another good sniper shot directly into another target. That's a Ninu delayed triple as Snaze is now going down to Ninu as well. That's the delayed quadra. And you have Exentra plugging shots into Enviel, and he has to back all the way up into a spawn to avoid any more damage. That's Ninu for you, making sure he picks off those kills and gets that zone. That's ClownFiesta, making it a 3-1.
Yeah, Clown, again, every time they lose a mid, they are just in the enemy spawn the entire time. They just don't let them breathe at all. No matter what, Snaze is doing, I think, a decent job trying to break through, and actually more decent than I thought. Look at that damage chart. He's actually top damaging on his team on this ROM, so actually putting on the most pressure, but that shows how much this Maeve and this Xin are just shutting down. I'd say most of the members of Interstellar. Anytime they try to do something, they're just getting pounced on. No, Maeve pun intended, by the members of ClownFiesta. They're just crossing that gap, getting in. They don't need Cruncy to get that aggressive with them. Cruncy deals with everybody else, and Maeve and Xin just handle the rest.
Yep, and that makes it hard for Snaze to do his job, especially when he keeps getting spied at. It's either him or Flash who, the primary focus of the guillotine talent, which is why Alex took that. He's trying to see if he can melt anybody down. Overpower went out, but the Earthen Guard, he couldn't actually grab her. Trying to see if they can get an early pick, but that's not going to be enough. They do take care of Gruncy finally, but they still might be on the backside here. They have to back up a little bit more, and they can't find the control they wanted. They use the Dread Serpent just to peel off Ninu, but that Rezil's coming online. It's making sure that he's not CC'd for very much longer.
Yeah, definitely that helped him get away from that Dread Serpent to get to the dismounts. Actually just hit Chunk Splash up for 1,600 across the map with a Maeve. And here they come, actually. Seismic Crash catches Barcode.
Nice.
They weren't ready for it. That's an early pick that they needed.
Here we go already. Alex finds not only one, but what will the rest of the team be able to maximize on? Tosses him out. Commander's Grab goes through. The Cataclysm tried to see if he could find anything, but all it did was blend him in a bad spot. As 42% is available for ClownFiesta, the percentage is still steadily climbing. Nobody on the side of Interstellar seemed to be able to make it in. Tried to wall him off with the Commander's Grab, but he doesn't manage to find it. Just doesn't pair off in terms of blocking that con, but 75% for ClownFiesta. They have to find some way to touch on Interstellar's side.
Looks like they have it with Snaze running by, but now they have to keep the fight up on the point. Enfield actually coming in very deep, but gets walled in by Cruncy after the port, and they find that.
Yeah, but nobody else is on point. Flashu is there behind him. Now Snaze is bunny hopping his way back to the objective, and he's the one capping, but everyone else is still dying around him. Daze is there. He tossed out the gourd, but that's going to be it. Snaze is one of the only ones remaining. He's just knocking over a bunch of people like bowling pins, but what happens if the bowling pins fight back? I guess you get ClownFiesta's 3-0.
Yeah, for sure. Clown just dominant there near the end. Finding people that were isolated and getting onto them is what I think their double flank draft wanted to do. I thought maybe the tanks would be playing a little bit closer to them to kind of help them stay alive through that, but just weren't able to. They had to be putting on pressure somewhere else, because otherwise Exentra was just sitting back there free firing and getting the better of Enfield. I thought he was getting the better of Enfield, and we can find out as I pull up these stats to see.
Yeah, and I think what was so interesting about that was, even though Rom played as aggressive as he possibly could, the reason I say possibly is because Alex was on the lookout for him consistently. Like, he was just spiting him every single time, or he was going for Flashu. He was making sure those tanks were brought down every single time, and he has 81,000 damage to prove it. Same thing for Ninu, and the DPS on the side of Clown are pretty close together. Everyone did the amount of damage about the same, except for Exentra, which leads with almost a 10k difference on the Strix.
But look how little damage he took, by the way. They tried to pressure him, but he actually took less than Bolka. So he was that safe the entire game and still managing to top damage. I gotta say, better look for Inter at the end when your damage dealers manage to outdamage your ROM. Is something that I think they were probably hoping they would be able to see at the end. But Enfield and Barcode, I think, really struggling throughout the majority of that game as we get these KDAs up 11-4. And 11-6 for Ninu and Alex. Exentra, low on frags, but that's not really his job. His job is to do damage, and Alex and Ninu's job is to clean up on said damage, and that's exactly what they did. I think deaths kind of high across Interstellar as to be expected, but again, especially Barcode and Enfield really struggling into the aggression that Clown are putting onto them.
On the flip side of that, ClownFiesta having some very positive KDs, but once again, that's to be expected based off of the game it was that we just saw. With 20 assists being available, Boca really putting a lot of that pressure on him to make sure that he was keeping those heals up, but I don't really think he felt pressured at all. He was probably sitting pretty most of the time. Even though Exentra took less damage than he did, that damage that he took still wasn't that much.
Yeah. I mean, Bolka's sitting pretty, and so is the rest of ClownFiesta on top of the standings, which we have right here. ClownFiesta 3-1 with a 6± and correct me if I'm wrong. I think that means they have not dropped the map, because that's 9 for their wins and then -3 for their forfeit loss. So I believe
Right.
they should be 3-1 with a 9 if you don't count the forfeit. Yoinker's right behind them with 3-1, with a 5 plus minus. I think looking great since picking up Prosper onto the team, and then Interstellar and Grova Space as close as you can be, 2-2
Yeah.
with 3 O's. It looks like both ways, and then down in fifth, Celestial surprisingly 1-3 on them. I think they've kind of struggled to find their stride, and Mixalazub, one of the better teams coming out of the relegations, and they've really struggled to find their footing here in this phase of the PPC.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, there's still plenty of time for them to try and see if they can get back on the saddle, both for them and Celestial. But Interstellar and Chroma Space, that'll be an interesting match to see when they go up
Oh yeah.
against one another. I'll be really excited to see how that is going to play out for sure, since that will be a fight for, I guess, the the midpoint of those standings. That would be a fight for third place, if anything, who either stays there or who moves up in the standings. But that was a very, very great match. Good matches overall on the side of EU. I'm very excited to see Brazil.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think seeing in control a team that's been doing okay against Eva's team, a team that's been struggling but shown promise on some of these maps. Definitely can't wait to see that. I hope the Brazil community all comes in, although Parallax isn't playing, so who knows? Either way, I hope they are coming in here to watch. I want to see that chat filled with languages I don't understand, honestly. On the other side of this break, we'll have the Portuguese announcer too. Going right to a 5-minute. Stick around. We will be right back.